Now, it's easy to do an automated password guessing. All you have to do is just get a text file of a list of words that you want to try. And then you could simply write a little DOS batch file, a single line that's going to take in that text file, maybe a text file for usernames, maybe a text file for passwords, or one that has both in a comma delimited setup. Either way, we're just going to write we can write a little program that just simply says, go read that file and try that combination against this address. That's it. It's not hard to do automated password guessing. Now you might think, okay, I have a policy in my network that says if you try 2 or 3 different passwords and you don't get it right, we're going to lock that account out. Well, that's great. That's a good policy to have, but it doesn't work against the administrator account. So if I've already enumerated and I know the exact name of your administrator account, I'm going to try this password guessing against that account to see if I can be more successful, and because typically those accounts don't get locked out. Now, I'm not saying this isn't going to make noise. I'm not saying that you wouldn't be able to see the results of this in a log file. But I did make mention that a lot of companies, a lot of people, only look at their log files after the event has occurred, not on a regular basis to see if somebody's trying to get in. So that's just one way you can get in or start to do the password guessing. There are tools out there like Legion. It's an older tool that goes out there and will scan your Class C network and look for shares, and maybe even try some manual dictionary attack tools for you. Again, as time goes on, these tools are going to become more and more sophisticated, and users don't have to know a lot about networks to be able to use them. They just fill in the blanks and literally click start or scan or kill or whatever that button says. NT Info Scan. Now we're up to version 5.0. You can download a demonstration of it. It's a great tool that's going to go out there and give a report of security issues on that target system. Nessus is another tool that will do the same thing. But if I can go out and do a scan against a server, see if it's up to date in its patches, its hot fixes, if there's any vulnerabilities that we know about or that NT Info Scan knows about, and it can report that to me, now I get in a list of possible ways to exploit that machine. Now, one way you can get around the password guessing, of course, is first of all, I talked about before, getting rid of those ports 135 to 139. But if we do that, I made mention in the previous chapter, you run the risk of having your older clients' legacy applications no longer working. I could remove the Wins client off of my adapter so that I'm not using those NetBIOS ports. Same problem as before. We could use a complex password, one that uses special characters, combinations of uppercase and lowercase. And for a while that was becoming very popular to do to make it harder and harder to guess. And it makes sense. If I can add more to the character list, there's more combinations for you to guess. The bad thing is that users couldn't remember their passwords, so they're writing them down more frequently, making it so anybody who just walks into an office is going to get those passwords. Now the point of view is to look at a passphrase, a really long password, one that I can remember because it's something that I can type out over and over again. I can still put in uppercase letters, I can put in the underscores for the spaces, just something that makes it a longer password rather than one that I can't as a user remember. And then always, as a countermeasure, you should go look at the event viewer, your security log, look for those failed log on and log offs. See if they're increasing in number. You know, these automated tools are going to put hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of guesses against your machine. You're going to see a lot of activity if you just look at those logs. So there are tools to look at your event viewer logs. You know, if you just don't like the event viewer that Microsoft gives you, you can go to different sites and download different tools to make it easier to put your logs together in an easy to read format. Visual Last is a tool that can do that for you. Another thing that we might do, rather than just trying that plain old guess and that dictionary attack, is just sniff for your credentials. You know, if I can find a way to be able to get your traffic to go through my system, or if I'm on a shared network, a hub-based network, I could just start listening to all the traffic and just scraping those passwords off all the packets that I see that are important to me. So I can, in other words, get your credentials just by simply listening to the information. Now, another tool that we use is to do a password guessing and dictionary attack type thing, the brute force, or maybe a cryptanalysis with rainbow tables, is LoftCrack. LoftCrack, now at version 5, has the ability to try to crack those passwords that you see in your SAM database files. You know, it's going to take those hashes, especially an LM hash. You know, there's two kinds of hashes inside of Windows by default. There's an LM hash and there's an NTLM. The LM hash took your maximum 14-character password, broke it into 2 pieces of 7. It takes all the letters and turns them into uppercase, and then it hashes those. So, you know, we've just taken away a lot of the combinations by not even using lowercase letters. I've only got 7 characters to crack in a hash. And so LoftCrack can, generally speaking, run through a brute force on an LM hash and return all of them somewhere, by today's technology, around 4.5 to 6 hours. All your passwords in LM hashes. With your NTLM hashes, now that's a different story. LoftCrack could take weeks or months to be able to get those. But it's another tool that I can use. Now you're saying, well, if you don't know my password, how are you going to get in there and run LoftCrack?